Welcome, everyone, as we celebrate our 40th season. And let's jump right into the mix with our first big exclusive.
You've seen Kevin Frazier before, whether it's hosting Entertainment Tonight or he's on the NFL Network or anchoring SportsCenter back in the day. As far as broadcasters go, I don't think that there are many as versatile as Kevin Frazier. And this is my chance to tell him what a big fan I am of his work, because it could be sports, entertainment. If it was hard news, he would lean in. He just has this effortless style, this energetic, friendly, relatable tone. He's funny, but he doesn't make himself the center of the show. He's just solid all around. So we crossed paths when we did a segment for the news for Seppi Travel, which is his company that provides curated travel experiences in different cities that feature Black-owned businesses, Black cultural experiences, all kinds of really cool opportunities. He's busy, which made it extra special that Kevin was generous enough to carve out some time to join us on the Dream Job podcast. Kevin Frazier, you are going to think that I'm blowing smoke when I say this, but you are one of my favorite broadcasters. Awesome. And let me tell you why. You couldn't do sports. You can do entertainment. If there was breaking news in Los Angeles and you were on the scene, I would believe it. I feel like you have done such a good job of, one, building credibility across all the platforms, and then two, you have this natural, relatable style that is so hard, I think, for people to find. And you've nailed it. So I'm just starting off with amazing kudos.
I just want to say I am so happy that I fooled you. No, thank you for the kind words. And you know how I feel about you. I think that you are a great journalist and a great storyteller, and they are few and far in between anymore. I mean, the landscape is changing, and there are a lot of personalities out there, but there are not a lot of storytellers, and it makes me crazy now.
Well, that means a lot, and thank you. I think, we are fortunate to get to do a job that is not digging ditches.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the worst day, I think, as a broadcaster is, we're living the dream in so many ways. And I'm curious for you, was this the job that 10-year-old Kevin dreamed of?
No. My father was a basketball coach. He coached in college in the NBA, and so the job I always dreamed of is I was going to coach basketball. That's what I was going to do. And from a very young age, I had a unique situation. I sat on the bench next to my father. Imagine having a college head coach and his kid is sitting right next to him. So as a little kid, I'm charting offenses. I'm listening to what's being said in the huddle, in the locker room. I'm really digesting all this basketball knowledge and how to run a program. And that's what I always thought I would do.
Mm-hmm. Well, I see the video you post of because you got 3 sons, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And are they all playing basketball? Is that the sport?
No, I have a much older son. I have a much older son who is a dad and not playing sports. But then my 2 younger ones, one is at Howard University playing right now and enjoying life. My wife is an alum of Howard University, so there is nothing that brings her more joy than having her child at her alma mater. And then my youngest plays soccer and basketball, and it's a wild balance, but it also is like my favorite joy to go to these basketball games. So people always wonder, where are you? What are you doing? Like last night, I was shooting a finale kind of episode in retrospective with the folks from the neighborhood, and they are just behind us here on the Radford lot, and it was moving and it was important, and these are people that I know and love, and that show is ending after 8 seasons. They mean everything to me. And I was like, guys, I got a playoff basketball game coming up in a few minutes. I got to get going. I gotta go.
Yeah. Well, I see the posts on social media. It's obvious how much that means to you. And, it's funny when we talk about dream jobs and the stuff we get to do. I think for so many of us, that job of dad or parent is really, where it's at.
I think you would agree with this, that it's the most important job you can ever have. And you don't know how good it is when you're getting into it. And there are some really tough times where you think it might be the worst job ever. I could have had such an easy life and I would have so much money with these damn kids. But it is also the most beautiful and rewarding thing you can do. And it's wild watching them grow up and go on the other side of everything. And so that's the kinds of things that blow you away when you look up and you say, wow. I mean, I remember sitting at Howard, looking at my wife while the coaches were doing a presentation, and my wife was crying. And I looked at her, I was like, yo, stop crying. Don't give your hand away, stop crying. But I also understood this moment, you know? And they played a game at Duke this year, and my son got in at the end of the game because he sits on the bench, but he got in on the end of the game and he scored a basket in Cameron. And I was just looking around, I was like, wow, this is what life really is about. And I hate to say it that I love my job, but I was like, this is a moment, this is life.
Well, and you're fortunate to have a job where you can go make some of those games and you can, you know, travel. And it's weird because when I first started, my first on-air job was the weekend sports guy at the NBC affiliate in Denison, Texas. And it was, I mean, it was a dream job for me, and I was able to have it, you know, pretty soon out of school. But it was Friday night football games. It was Saturday and Sunday. It was the grind, and you didn't care because you loved it and it was awesome. But that also is not very compatible with life, family life down the road. And so many people in our business have not gotten the ability to be there.
No, I mean, look, there are times where I'm gone, I'm away, and I'm traveling, I'm on the road. I may be on the other side of the world and I miss things. I mean, I've sat in Hawaii or been in Europe watching my kids' game on a stream, you know, because I was like, I don't want to miss it, but I just can't be there. And so that is part of the push and pull of this gig. But I mean, it rewards you in so many ways, and you can't sit there and turn your nose up at the experiences and the places I've gone, the things I've seen, the things I've gotten to do. I mean, you know, just last week, I'm standing in the tunnel as Bad Bunny comes off of the field right after he finished that incredible halftime performance. Those are the kinds of things that I have gotten to do in places I've been that have been extraordinary. I look around and I look back and I mark time by these things that have happened, these big world events that I've gotten to be a part of. What a blessing, how amazing. And also, it's like you scratch your head sometimes and you just, you know, I'm not trying to drop names, but yes, I was there when that happened. Yes, I know, I talked to him. And I wrote my college roommate the other day. I had just taken a picture with Halle Berry on the red carpet. And I just wrote him a note and I was like, this is so insane. It's like, this makes no sense. But, you know, it's like, it's the life I get to live, and I'm so lucky.
Well, I appreciate the gratitude, because I do think that's such a huge component of being able to do this job and not be jaded about it. And I want to get back to that a little bit more in a second. But I think at the end of the day, I know for myself, 18-year-old me would be blown away by some of the life experiences and those moments you kind of described. And so I feel like when those name drops happen, it's a little bit less like, you know, you're patting yourself on the back. It's more like, can you believe how cool this is? It's almost like an homage to that little kid inside you that never would have dreamed of this.
No, it literally is shocking. It's, you know, you're like, you know, I don't want to, you know, brag and say, oh, well, yeah, I talked to Beyonce, I did, you know. But it's like, those are moments where you're like, this is wild. And also, it's moments away from the camera, like, you know, Michelle Williams, who's from Destiny Child. She used to do Super Bowls with me, and we went on the subway together to ride to work one day in New York during the Super Bowl. And it was wild because Michelle's like, I've never gone on the subway. And I was like, gosh, I forget how famous you are. And there we are on the subway, you know, having this experience in this moment. So part of it also is experiencing moments with people, because that's a profound thing. Billie Eilish said to me a couple of years ago at the Grammys, she said, you know what, man? We've got to spend some pretty important moments of my life together. And it didn't dawn on me, but it was like when she had her big Grammy wins, I've been at the other end of the tunnel and I've been able to interview her immediately. And I remember her crying and just being overwhelmed by the moment. And I was like, damn, you're right. And this is, I was so grateful that I got to be there and see that and experience that moment.
I used to do backstage interviews for the Emmys, for the Television Academy at the Primetime Emmys. And these winners would come off and we'd be the first place they'd stop.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, this is unbelievable. Some of these are my, the people that I love watching on favorite TV shows, all that kind of stuff. And for some of them, this is the pinnacle of their professional life, the thing they've dreamed of. They get to get this golden statue, and I get to be one of the first people they talk to.
Right.
That is an unbelievable privilege. So I have never lost that magic.
Right. It's so powerful. And, sometimes you forget because you're so locked into like, here's the things we have to talk about. Here are the things that, we have to make sure we get and blah, blah, blah. And sometimes you have to just stop. And I found that I do that now is just stop and kind of enjoy it a little bit. Enjoy the moment and just smile and hug them and enjoy that moment.
Well, it's cool to have somebody like Billie Eilish kind of share that with you because you have been there. You've been that face that
I was shocked.
she's seen.
I was shocked and I was blown away. And then I was like, damn, you're right. It was really cool that you were, you had that moment.
Well, so I'm curious then, you mentioned you're that kid who thought, hey, I'm going to be a basketball coach. You're going to follow in your dad's footsteps. When did it all change and this became the career path that you're on?
So I got my first job in TV at a station in Charleston, South Carolina. And I was a cameraman. And I was working, I was living with my grandparents and working at WCBD in Charleston. And I remember sitting in the newsroom the first day after I was hired, and I lied to the news director and told him, I can shoot, of course I can. And he almost fired me. But I was sitting in the newsroom and I was so fascinated by what was going on, the way that the news was happening, the way the stories were happening, and the way they were pulling these stories together. And I fell in love with that at that moment. And basketball was gone, but that was the first time I'd had that. You get this adrenaline rush. Like people, I don't know if, regular people can understand that when you're chasing a story, it's like a high that there's no other drug that can kind of supplant that. It is unbelievable.
It is. You're absolutely right. I also think live TV, there is something about flying by the seat of your pants without a net. It's live, that red light's on, that is such a thrill. And if you're somebody who grew up playing sports, it's kind of like when you're in the game.
Yes.
And there's a similar experience there, and it's something else.
And unless you have really melted down on air, which I have before, and that's why you're in small markets, right, everybody needs to understand this is why you start small and you build up, because you will melt down. I never forget my first night doing sports in Cincinnati, Ohio, and we were supposed to take 3 minutes of the broadcast, and I ended up taking 6, and the show just had to go straight off the air. And our producer, he walked out of the control room and he took his clipboard and he threw it across the newsroom, and he was like, you literally ruined our show. And I sat there for about 3.5 hours afterwards with Chris Rose, who is now, you've seen him, he works for NFL Network and many other places. It was his first job out of college. He was the weekend producer. And we sat there for like 3.5 hours trying to figure out how we were going to be able to keep our jobs, because it was so bad. It was so bad. I mispronounced names. I missed scoreboards. I got caught walking back and forth between my desk and the main desk. And it was a disaster of epic proportion. And I was like, it's over. You had one, you're one and done. You're gone.
Boom goes the dynamite.
Yeah. So we've all been there. And I just want everybody to understand that there's no magic that happens. It's a grind. You have to work and get your fundamentals and pull yourself together.
So you get your feet wet in the worst possible way.
Yes.
Was this, you've had such a random career when you look back at the items on your resume, I mean, all over the map.
Yes.
Is that by design in terms of like, oh, well, I like this and I like that and I like doing all these things? Or has it just kind of been this, hey, these opportunities are coming my way and I'm going to say yes?
I find that in each and every job, you have to do the best you can do and be the best you can be. And then the opportunities come and you weigh them. And, when I was in Cincinnati, I started in Charleston. I was a cameraman. From Charleston, I moved to Baltimore as a cameraman, but they said you get to do the Friday night, you get to do the Sunday night sports show. You get to do a story each week for the Sunday night sports show. Now, you have to go out and shoot that story yourself. And you have to go figure out that story yourself, and you have to do it on your own time, and you won't get paid, but you got to go do it. And so it's every time an opportunity kind of stacks itself, you kind of get a new challenge. And it was getting those new challenges that really energized me in all kinds of different ways. And, jumping from sports to entertainment, well, I mean, that was just, I love pop culture. Doesn't mean I don't love basketball and other things. I am not a baseball fan, though. But I love pop culture, so that made the jump here easy. But yes, it's always looking at what is the challenge that's coming to you, not as much what the job pays or where it is. It's like, is this the right move? Does this feel like the right move in your heart?
It's interesting. So when I was in college, when the light bulb kind of turned on for me that this is the career I wanted to pursue, I was a senior at TCU. We had this brand new sports broadcasting class. ESPN's coming in town to broadcast the final game of the year, TCU versus SMU, 0-10 that year. And so, all right, they get all these students to come out and be PAs. The guy who ran graphics for ESPN was there for that game, and he asks, who knows how to use a computer? I'm like, I do.
You're like me.
All right, cool. We need you to run the bug during the game. So, Kevin, this is the 90s. That little clock and score graphic in the upper right portion of the screen, that was brand new technology, man.
That's a big gig to give you at that point. That was a big gig and a lot of trust.
So I'm sitting next to this guy. I'm a college senior, and it's the 1st and 10, bug. They scored a touchdown, put up 6. Oh, there's a flag in the play. Push the button for the flag, and so the game ends, and I don't make too many mistakes. And he's like, "Do you want to do more of this?" Yeah. Well, they fly me out to Anaheim to do a Ducks game. I'm a college senior, and I think I won the lottery.
Right.
And so to me, it was super cool. Now I'm missing time in school. I'm missing all this stuff to go do these things. But I just thought this was like the wow, cool vibe. So I mean, I think it's similar. And if you don't feel that way, then you probably are in the wrong job. Whatever line of work I think people are in.
Yeah, it's when these opportunities come, you have to love it. And here's the thing. This is chasing a dream because you're not going to make a lot of money when you first start this at all. And you're probably going to have a pretty crappy job. And I remember all my friends, they were making a decent living. I mean, my first job, I made $13,000 a year as a cameraman in Charleston. $13,000 with overtime and other things. I believe I got up to $18,000. My buddies, they're making money and they're kicking it and they're going on vacation. And you have to decide, do you really want to chase this dream or do you want to go make money? And for a lot of us, it becomes we want to go make money and we leave our dream behind. But chase that dream. Don't be afraid of it. It will make you so much happier. You will be a happier person, even if you don't make a lot of money. And I remember being broke, but damn happy.
I feel so seen right now because that first job, I think it was $14,900
right? That market in Texas, forget that. That's.
I mean, I'm sleeping on an egg crate on the floor because I don't have a bed, right, in my apartment. And so I'm at this job for, I think, 5 or 6 months, and I get a promotion, 6 and 10 news anchor, pay bump, $26,000. I am living large. And so many people bounced because it's hard to sustain life, And I had a buddy who got out of college. He got an advertising job and it paid $33,000. And I thought, oh, can you imagine what it must be like to make $33,000 a year?
I will tell you this. I remember getting to Baltimore as a cameraman and getting bumped up to $26,000. And I was like, I might be the man. And when I got to Cincinnati, they paid me $41,000. I literally was talking to my family members like I was the king of the world. I literally felt like I was taking things over. I was like, do you understand I make $41,000 a year? I am the daddy, the poppy, the big man. I was out of my mind. I was literally out of my mind. Now, let's not forget, in the snow, I was still driving my little Volkswagen Cabriolet where the radio had gotten stolen out of. So when the cold air blew in Cincinnati, it would come through the radio and it would fog up my windshield. I mean, it was like, but I still thought, I'm the man.
Yeah.
It was wild.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could maybe afford the Honda Accord with the V6 after that upgrade,
I don't know. That's how wild it was. And so I think that's what people have to remember is like, it's also baby steps. And as you take these baby steps, enjoy the people you meet along the way. Nothing makes me happier than when I hear from someone who's in Charleston, or I hear from someone that I worked with in Baltimore and I see their family and their kids and the guys that were photogs with me in Baltimore. That's what life is about. These little baby steps you take and the people you collect. The people are way more important than the money, because in the end of the day, that's all you got.
It's interesting that you say that, because in this profession, there are very, very, very few jobs that people have for a long time. So you're bouncing from gig to gig to gig, city to city to city. You've been in Los Angeles for how long?
I know this is crazy, but this is 21 years at Entertainment Tonight.
Okay.
It's crazy.
And were you in LA when you got the ET job?
No, I was at SportsCenter. And that's what makes it even wilder, is because I'm at SportsCenter and I'm doing NBA stuff. And I literally, it's a dream job. That's like, you have hit the damn jackpot. I'm getting to do NBA.
That was my dream job.
Yeah,
that was my dream job as a college student. It was like, give me the SportsCenter. That would have been it.
I have SportsCenter, NBA Tonight. I do the NBA show. I was like, this is incredible. And I'll never forget, I get a call. I'm sitting in the newsroom and my agent says, hey, Entertainment Tonight wants to meet with you. And I was like, what? Well, when you go out to the All-Star game, you're going to just go by their stage and, you're going to do a couple of reads and then you keep moving. Okay, so I'm like, okay, I do it. I come out to the stage, I do it. I'm like, this is cool. Mary Hart is sitting there, I say hello to everybody. I do the reads, I shake some hands, and I leave. And I'm like, it is what it is, man. It was fun. It was cool to get a glimpse of that. And a couple of weeks later, I get a call from Linda Bell Blue, who, the long time head of Entertainment Tonight. And she's like, hey, we want to have lunch with you at John George in the Trump Tower. And we're going to go have lunch and we want to talk to you. I get there, it's her executives. I sit down at this table. They're like, we want you to come to Entertainment Tonight and be the weekend host and, a contributor. And I'm like, really? And so they talk about it and I'm like, great. And she was like, hey, that little show you do, SportsCenter, what were the ratings last night? And I look at her and it makes me chuckle. And I'm like, obviously she is missing something, because we almost did 1 million. We almost had 1 million viewers last night on SportsCenter. We killed it. And she looked at me and she said, baby, we had 8 million people watch Entertainment Tonight last night. And I was like, what?
I'm sorry, come again?
8 million. And so now I'm like, whoa. And then I'll never forget this, because this is one of my favorite moments of all time. So we talk, I'm like, this is great. I'll get back to you, blah, blah, blah. And I get up because I have my luggage at at the hotel just holding it because I was on my way to Vegas for an ESPN assignment. And Linda looks at me and she says, "Oh, where are you going?" I was like, "Las Vegas. I got to shoot something." And so I asked the lady, I was like, can y'all flag a cab for me? And I grabbed my luggage and she says, "Hey, Kevin, when you work for me, you'll never catch a taxi again." And I just looked at her and I was like, yo, you had me at hello. You had me at hello. It was just such a wild moment, but I was just like, wow. I was like, oh, okay.
Does that mean I can leave my Volkswagen with the stolen radio slot behind? Does that mean I can leave that guy behind?
You're talking to a dude, right, who has a tore up Volkswagen, so it was wild.
Oh, man. It's crazy, that feeling when your phone rings and you don't recognize the number. And that's a little bit different now because cell phones and spam calls and all that. But back in the day, that was a good feeling because you're like, oh, who's calling? What's the gig? What's the opportunity on the other side?
Yeah.
So what year was that? That was 2000 what?
That was 2003. And in 2004, it was 2004. And then I came here to ET, and because my last SportsCenter was September 3rd, 2004, I want to say. And it's funny because I go through the airport, and this is the power of SportsCenter and ESPN. And people will always say, "Oh, that's the dude from ESPN." I still hear that all the time. I watch you every night on ESPN, man. I'm like, okay, thank you. I'm like, okay. It was probably you probably saw me because your wife was watching Entertainment Tonight, but I understand. Yeah. And it is a wild thing to go from the ultimate male place to the ultimate female place. And that was a hell of a transition for me.
Oh, I can't imagine. But look, I for many years worked for TV Guide Network and covering entertainment news and the junkets and all that kind of stuff. And I'll just put it this way, watching a movie and then going to the Four Seasons and doing an interview, that ain't work.
Let me say this, watching a movie in Hawaii and then going to the junket in Hawaii, watching a movie in London and then going to the junket in London, watching a movie in Japan and then going to the junket, it's an amazing gig. Let me just tell you, it's unbelievable in the places you go and the things you see and then and the doors it opens. Like here's a classic one. They do the James Bond junket for the last Bond movie in Jamaica at GoldenEye.
Sure. Bob
Marley used to own GoldenEye, and then it was owned by his producer who owns Island Records. And I was like, wow, it's cool. And he built this resort. And I walked in and I was like, what is this place? And he's like, oh, no, a lot of big dogs. They vacation here. And I was like, oh my God, I've got to get to GoldenEye. And it's just those kind of, you walk in places and you're just like, what is this? I had no idea. How was I living?
And it still gets you. I mean, decades of work now, and it still has that cool panache, has that cool rush.
Yes, all the time.
What is the most difficult aspect of what you do? Is there something that,
that's easy. That's easy. I will tell you, it's the big award shows because people don't understand when you're doing the Golden Globes, there is a chance that you can have any one of 350, 400 people walk by you and stop and talk to you. And you have to have the information in your brain to kind of have a cohesive conversation with them, understand what movie they're from, what TV show they're from, what is their role, what is their character doing, what is their contract status, what's coming up for them. There's so much information that you plug into your brain, and we really do study for these things. And so I would say that is the single hardest thing there is to do. And I know people all the time, they're like, oh, I want to go on the red carpet. And I was like, are you sure? Are you sure you want to do this? Because I see people all the time, they'll be like, hi, I'm so-and-so and I'm with. And I'm like, you don't know who you're standing next to? Then you don't belong there.
Well, or what's it like being on the red carpet? How does it feel?
Right. How excited are you to be on the red? So
killing me, Smalls.
That's and you know this because you've been on these big, massive movie carpets even. When somebody out of the blue will show up. Here you go. Night before last, Halle Berry and Chris Hemsworth for their movie. In walks Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. And you're like, whoa, Ben and Matt are here. Ben, can we talk about the Dunkin' commercial? Matt, can we talk about some other things you have coming up? Those are all things that you gotta be ready to rock. And
then also the third lead who's not listed in the credits, whose publicist brings them up, and you got to tap dance to make them not feel, like they don't belong.
Just a little message to all the publicists out there. Don't embarrass your client by walking up with them just cold out of the blue. If you have a lesser client, make sure that you come and check ahead. What the big veterans do, the great ones do, is when they have a lesser client, they come by and they say, hey, I'm going to have so-and-so with me. Will you,
do me solid.
Do 2 or 3 questions? Can we talk?
Yeah.
Will you talk to them? And then you're like, okay, I know that coming with so-and-so is going to be so-and-so. I'm prepped for that. And when these people just walk up on you and they're like, there you go. And I'm like, there you go what? There you go who? You see right behind you is Brad Pitt. You got to move. I love you, but you got to move.
Yeah. Oh,
those are
brutal.
Cool. Yeah.
Well, so if preparing for those big award shows is the hardest part of the job, is that also what you look forward to the most when the light's finally on? You put the preparation to work. Is there a certain type of show or experience that you really get amped up for?
I will tell
studio
you.
Taping, whatever.
No, I will tell you, it is angst and anxiety until it begins. And the second it begins, it is like it is joy. And I'm having so much fun, and I'm talking to people, and I'm like, oh, this is great. But before, you're just like, oh, remember this, remember that, make sure you do this, make sure you do this. And then all of a sudden, it's like go time. It's like starting a game. You know, there are people who, until the ball goes up, it's like you're worried about everything. And then the ball goes up, and you just are.
We're in it.
You're in it. And that's the thing I like to do. I'm in it, reacting, talking, having fun, and just having moments.
It really is. I couldn't act my way out of a paper bag, but the improv side of it, the playing off of a really great co-host, a really great interview, it is a thrill that I hope doesn't ever go away. I think
what I say?
relatable.
I say to all those people out there that, you have to listen to people, because you get so excited about what you want to say, or you want to tell your story or your thing. Just listen to people. Just listen, and it'll all come to you, and there'll be moments. But you have to listen, and you have to be ready to react.
So along the way, you get the Entertainment Tonight job a couple of decades ago. I got to LA in 2001, and I remember what the kind of landscape was like back then in terms of entertainment news and all the opportunities. But you've added other opportunities to the list. I imagine if you had to list off all the jobs, all the shows, we would be here for an hour. But you branched out when we first kind of crossed paths a year or two ago with Seppi, a travel website, and you have started curating these experiences that highlight Black history in different cities around the country. And it seems like that has been something that's been a passion project for you and that you really, really care a lot about.
First of all, I love history. I love travel. I love sports, but I'm also married to a woman who is a deputy director at the ACLU, a civil rights attorney who was a public defender for years and years and years. And so, it's interesting that I come home and I say, oh, I'm so tired because I've been doing this. And she's like, okay, we're prepping for a Supreme Court battle. Okay, I'll shut up now. And I'll never forget, I think I was in New Orleans, and I was interviewing a star who was super late and a little difficult, and I was talking to my wife, and I called her just to check in, And, I was like, yeah, I'm tired. And I'm probably going to have to leave here and get on a plane to go to New York tonight for some kind of junket. And she was like, okay, because I'm looking at a dead woman's clothes and a murder area. So, okay, but you'll be okay. And I was like, I'm going to shut up now. I'm just going to shut up. I sound like an idiot. I'm going to shut up now.
It's funny. My wife works in a field where it's fighting for child online safety and to stop the trafficking of kids and child sexual exploitation and some of that kind of work. And it's one of those similar deals. When I was at NFL Network, it was kind of like,
right.
She does all this amazing work, and what do you do? Oh, I talk about football for a living. So,
right. And how do you explain that? And those conversations at home where you're like, yeah, I was really upset about the way the Bengals played last week. Okay, I'm sorry, but the children are safe.
What is the latest with Seppi Travel? How's it been going?
Great. We are gathering different locales and locations and vendors. And here's the big thing. And you see this right now, what's happening in this country, that history is being erased. I mean, it's literally being erased. American
Plaques
history.
are being ripped down. History books, literal books, are being rewritten.
They're pulling exhibits out of the Smithsonian, especially ones that they feel that in some way depict slavery in a negative light. And also we look at what was taken down in Philadelphia off the president's house and talking about the people who worked in the presidential mansion in Philadelphia, those slaves, those 8 to 10 people who worked there. And so I just say, look, it is hard sometimes to look back in our past, and America has to wrestle with the things that have happened and the way we got to where we are today. But we need to know and examine those things unless we will repeat them. And it feels like we're on a road to repeating many of those things right now because we don't understand our history. So that's why, with Seppi, we are about promoting the places, the tours, and the experiences that talk about the African-American experience in America and also the Black experience around the world. And it is not an exclusionary thing. We're not saying, we don't give a damn about anybody else's history. Everybody's history in this country is interwoven. So when you tell the story of one, you tell the story of many. I was talking to someone the other day and, I was saying, so many Jewish Americans who had just dealt with the Holocaust were those freedom riders who went down to the South to help. And, those 3 young men who perished in Philadelphia, Mississippi, Goodman, Schwerner, and Cheney, those were 2 Jewish young men with a Black man who were chased down by the sheriff there, murdered and buried in a dam. So these are all parts of our history that we have to know and understand so that when you see someone die in the streets, you say, have we been here before? When a young man named Preddy is gunned down in the streets, you say, have we been here before?
I didn't set Seppi Travel up well enough for folks who want to learn more. SeppiTravel.com is the website, but I can tell how passionate you are about this. And it's really easy when we have jobs, especially when we talk about sports or talk about entertainment, that's kind of how people see you. Do you feel like you can express yourself, whether it's in social media or whatever, when it comes to some of these issues of the day, these injustices that really, strike a little too close to home?
Well, I think it's a conversation, and I always tell people who get online and they start saying crazy things to you, I say, we can have a dignified and elegant conversation, and I'm here for it. And you can tell me all the ways you feel and the things that you don't like that I said or I do, and I want to hear your point of view. I want to understand your point of view, and I'll explain mine. And we used to be able to do that all the time. And it somehow went away. And I blame social media a little bit because people can be thumb thugs in their mom's basement and just say the wildest things and not really be accountable for their actions. It used to be if you opposed someone's view, you had to stand 10 toes in the sand and look them in the eye and say that. And so now I feel we just have to think about that. It's okay if we disagree. Listen, y'all, it's okay if we disagree. It's not, it's not the end of the world. You know, I mean, some of the people that I love the most, I disagree with their politics or I disagree about something they say, but that doesn't mean I love them less. It just means we disagree, and that's okay.
You've been super generous with your time. I want to kind of wrap up here because I know we've talked for quite a while, but I'm curious for those little Kevins out there, those kids who, you know, maybe have seen your work and think they want to do something like that or pursue anything, whatever really it is. Is there one piece of advice that maybe somebody gave to you that you feel compelled to pass along? What would you tell somebody who's, you know, trying to get their footing in the world?
It's a journey of baby steps. This is not, you're not going to jump from 1 to 100 or A to Z in one step. And, you know, my nephew, he went to USC and he's very talented. And he had a couple of digital offers here in LA. And I was like, that's not what you're going to do. You're going to Jackson, Mississippi, and you're going to do live shots, and you're going to do stories, and you're going to stand up there and sweat, and you're going to get up early in the morning, and you're going to work till late at night, because you're going to learn your craft. And so take the baby steps, learn your craft. And, you know, now I see him and he is in Sacramento as an anchor. And I'm like, yeah, because you had to take the baby steps. And he is so good. He won an Emmy last year. And I was like,
that's awesome.
Go. Yeah. And, you know, I tell you, my oldest son, Tony, I'll never forget the day because he went, you know, he started Sacramento and went to Washington. Now he flies planes. But I remember looking up one day and he is on TV sitting across from Andrea Mitchell. And they're talking about the shooting at the Navy Yard because he was there. He's one of the first people there. And I was just like, the baby steps took you to this moment. So, you know, that's what I say. Take the baby steps. Because even when people, I look at, you know, no one is going to tell stories like you tell them right now. But it takes a minute. And you've told some bad stories, I'm sure.
Oh, way too many.
But now people see you go viral and they're like, well, I want to be viral too. I'm going to go viral too. Well, sit down and kind of break down the crafting of those stories, the crafting of the words, the way the pictures and the words talk to each other, and it works. And then take your time and work your way up there.
Yeah, the walk before you can run, for sure.
Please.
Well,
please.
Man, you've been running a while, you know, whether it's in the world of entertainment or sports. It was cool getting to cross paths and see your work up close when we were at NFL Network, and it was cool because you kind of got to helicopter in for some of the really fun.
Wasn't that wild?
You know?
Yeah, I just get to pop in for like NFL honors or I did the NFL Game Day Live for a year, which was great. And, you know, it was really, I always tell my children, I was like, you see this backyard? NFL Game Day Live, buddy. That's how this pool got here. You better thank Ed, because your mom said you ain't spending a penny on anything unless you go out and earn extra money. And so I'll never forget those 2 years.
Yeah. Thank you, Roger Goodell. Appreciate that.
I appreciate you and I love you and thank you for making it. I mean, and this is the funny thing. This is kind of brings us full circle. I remember that my son was like 7 and I was like, I can never go to your soccer games. Or I'd race out and I'd get the end of the soccer games and I was like, man, is this worth it? And I mean, yes, it was worth it and it was a great opportunity, but I was also like, you'll never be 7 again.
Is there some kind of thing out there, an opportunity that you aspire to that you haven't gotten to do yet? Is there something that you, on the other side?
Don't you? And I want to know if this happens to you, because this happens to me all the time. It's not that I say, oh, that's the job I want, but I'll watch something and I'll be like, ooh, I'd love to do that. Oh, that looks fun. Okay. Oh my gosh, I want, you know, like there are nights when I was at SportsCenter, the person I worked with the most was Scott Van Pelt. And I watch Van Pelt on all the time. And I mean, he is amazing. He is great. Yeah. And I was like, oh man, I want to sit over there and do a highlight again with Van Pelt. Damn. And every once in a while he'll text me and we'll go back and forth. But those are the kinds of moments that you say, oh man, I want to do that. Oh, I want to try that. Or I want to try this.
Is there an interview? Is there like a white whale that you I mean, because look, the roster's pretty big.
Do you know what's funny is that when you start listing like, oh, I want to get that person one day, or I want to get this person or that person, it really is some of the best interviews. And the moments I remember are times when I've said, why am I doing this? When Johnny Carson passed away, they sent me to Paul Anka's house. And I was like, what? I'm going to Paul Anka's house? Johnny Carson, and I'm going to Paul Anka's house? And I get to Paul Anka's house, and I sit down with him, and I mean, we start chopping it up about the old days in Vegas. He's got sushi for us and wine. Takes me in his room and he starts playing his new music for me. And I'm like, Paul Anka is the man. You know, when he did the album, the swing album, the first swing album, Rock Swings or Swing Rock, that he redid all those songs. He did all those rock and roll songs. And like, we're sitting in his house just before it comes out. He's blasting it in his music room. And like telling me stories about Muhammad Ali coming to see him, or, you know, all the different songs he wrote and things like that. And I was like, yo, Paul Anka is the poppy pop. And I was thinking like, this is going to be terrible. And so he was the one that just made me say forever, you never know what's around that corner. Enjoy every time you get to go and sit down with somebody, because they have something special to give you. They really do. You might have to pull it out, but everybody has something special to give.
Well, man, I appreciate you sharing something special with me today. It really is a treat. Like I said before, I just so enjoy watching your work and think that you're one of the best at you know what you do. And
that's nice of you to say.
There's not a lot of broadcasters anymore. You know, the people that can, you know, really do it and know how to, whether it's entertainment or sports or news or whatever, tell the story, connect with the audiences. But when it comes to doing it well, you're one of the best, buddy.
I appreciate it so much. Thanks for having me on, and good luck with this. I think you're going to be a huge success, because, I mean, you're really good at what you do.
Man, that means a lot.
Good.
Means a lot. Man, awesome. So grateful to chat with Kevin. So thankful that he gave us so much of his time, and really cool to hear more about the grind that he went through to get where he is all along the way. So hopefully you enjoyed the conversation as much as I did. And as always, I hope you'll spread the word and keep joining us for more of the Dream Job Podcast. Until next time, I'm Marcus Tuck.